The denial sitting in your inbox right now was not created today. It was created 3 days ago when someone at the front desk checked eligibility once and assumed it was still valid, or when a clinical note described a procedure in terms that did not match the billing code attached to it, or when a prior authorization was assumed rather than confirmed. By the time that denial arrives, the mistake is already 3 steps behind you, and most billing departments are spending their entire day dealing with problems they had no part in creating. Here is the reality most clinics do not talk about. The average time between a pre-submission error and the denial that results from it is 3 to 5 business days. That is the time it takes for a claim to submit, enter the payer's review queue, get flagged, and return with a denial code. By then, the original appointment has passed, the patient may have had a second visit, and the staff member who made the error has processed hundreds of other cases since. Tracking the problem back to its source is difficult. Correcting it takes time, and in many cases, the resubmission window is already narrowing. The denial feels like a billing problem. It is actually an intake problem. First and most common pre-submission mistake is eligibility, which gets checked once at scheduling and never confirmed again before the claim goes out. Insurance coverage changes, plans renew, employers switch insurers. A patient who had active coverage 3 weeks ago when they booked the appointment may have a different plan, a lapsed policy, or a changed deductible by the time they walk in. When eligibility is not re-verified close to the date of service, the claim is built on information that may already be wrong. The denial arrives later, but the mistake happened at the front. The second failure point is documentation that does not support the code submitted. This is one of the most expensive sources of denials because it is invisible until the payer reviews the claim. The provider documents a visit accurately from a clinical standpoint. But if the language used in the note does not map clearly to the medical necessity requirements for the billed code, if the severity, the complexity, or the clinical reasoning is not explicit in the documentation, the payer has grounds to deny. The note and the code are 2 separate documents that need to tell the same story. When they do not, the denial is predictable, preventable, and entirely a pre-submission problem. The third failure point is prior authorization that was assumed rather than verified. In a busy clinic, the assumption often sounds reasonable. This payer approved this procedure last time, or the system shows a previous authorization on file. But prior authorizations are specific. They apply to a specific date range, a specific diagnosis, and often a specific provider. When a service is delivered under an authorization that has expired, does not cover the billed service level, or was never confirmed for this specific encounter, the claim goes out incorrectly. The denial is not a billing error. It is an authorization error, and it was made days before the claim was ever touched by the billing team. The reason most denial reduction efforts fail is that they focus on the billing team, the last step before submission, when the problems were created 2 or 3 steps earlier. Fixing the denial rate means moving the intervention upstream. Eligibility must be re-verified within 24 to 48 hours of the date of service, not at scheduling. Clinical documentation must be reviewed for code supporting specificity before the encounter is closed, not after the claim is submitted. Prior authorizations must be confirmed as valid for this specific visit, not assumed from a previous record. None of this requires replacing the billing team. It requires building pre-submission checkpoints into the workflow at the points where the errors are actually occurring. Denial management is reactive. Pre-submission accuracy is preventive. The clinics with the lowest denial rates are not the ones with the best billing teams. They are the ones who stop the most mistakes before a single claim leaves the building. If you want to see what a pre-submission prevention workflow looks like for your clinic, visit talismansolutions.com.